A lawyer is after you. Open now. You have two things. Chosen one. There are moments when the soul senses that something unseen has entered the room. No footsteps are heard. No door is opened. Yet the heart becomes strangely aware that a verdict is drawing near. We spend our lives believing we are free to postpone the important things, only to discover that eternity has never agreed to our schedule. Imagine receiving a letter marked urgent. Most would hesitate before breaking the seal. We fear bad news more than we desire truth. Yet the greatest danger is not opening the letter. It is pretending it never arrived. Every conscience carries such a letter. It reminds us that every word, every hidden thought, every forgotten promise has been faithfully recorded. The world teaches us that enough excuses can erase enough mistakes. Heaven has never accepted that bargain. Justice does not bend simply because we grow uncomfortable beneath its gaze. This is why so many people try to drown the quiet voice within them. Noise is easier than honesty. Distraction is easier than repentance. But silence possesses a remarkable power. In silence, we begin hearing what our souls have whispered for years. There is, if you will, a lawyer pursuing every person, not one sent to trap you, but one representing the unchanging claims of truth itself. Truth has an inconvenient habit. It arrives whether invited or not. It does not ask whether you feel prepared. It simply stands at the door. And when that moment comes, you discover that you possess only two things of lasting value. The first is your choice, not your wealth, not your reputation, not your popularity. Choice. Every day places eternity in miniature before us. Every small decision quietly shapes the person we are becoming. Character is not built during extraordinary moments. It is carved through ordinary obedience, repeated again and again. The second thing is grace. Choice alone would leave us exhausted, forever attempting to repair what we have broken. Grace is the unexpected gift that enters where human effort fails. It does not deny justice. It fulfills what justice demands while offering mercy to those willing to receive it. Many imagine strength means never admitting failure. Yet the strongest soul is often the one humble enough to confess that it cannot save itself. The remarkable mystery of faith is that surrender is not defeat. It is the beginning of freedom. Perhaps you have spent years defending yourself before the court of public opinion. You have explained your motives, justified your anger, compared your life with someone else's failures. Yet none of those arguments quiet the conscience. Only truth can do that. Only forgiveness can do that. Only a transformed heart can do that. The greatest victories are rarely witnessed by crowds. They happen when pride kneels, when bitterness is released, when resentment loses its grip, when hope quietly rises again after years of darkness. If you sense conviction today, do not mistake it for condemnation. A physician points to a wound because healing matters. Light exposes dust, not to shame the house, but to cleanse it. Truth reveals the heart, because the heart is worth redeeming. Do not delay what eternity considers urgent. Open the letter, face the truth. Guard your choice. Receive grace. For in the end, these two treasures will outweigh everything the world spent a lifetime teaching you to pursue. May your steps be guided by wisdom, your conscience remain tender, and your heart remain open to the one whose justice is perfect and whose mercy is greater than fear. That is where genuine freedom begins. There comes a moment in nearly every life when the noise of the world grows strangely quiet, and a question rises that cannot be ignored. Am I truly living in the truth? Most people spend years chasing success, approval, comfort, or recognition, believing these things will satisfy the deepest longing of the heart. Yet, there is a voice that no amount of achievement can silence. It is the quiet witness of conscience, reminding us that every decision carries weight and every path leads somewhere. We often imagine that truth is something we can shape according to our preferences. But truth does not change because our opinions do. It stands firm whether we acknowledge it or not, patiently waiting for us to recognize what has always been there. Many people fear the truth because they believe it exists only to expose their failures. They avoid moments of silence because silence often reveals what constant distraction hides. It is easier to stay busy than to examine the condition of the soul. It is easier to blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck than to admit that some of our greatest struggles come from the choices we ourselves have made. Yet facing the truth is not an act of defeat. It is the first courageous step toward genuine freedom. A person who refuses to look honestly at life may protect temporary comfort, but sacrifices lasting peace. Imagine standing before a perfectly clear mirror that reflects not only your appearance, but also your motives, your hidden thoughts, your forgotten promises, and the intentions behind every action. Such a reflection would be uncomfortable, yet it would also be honest. The truth has a way of removing every disguise. It does not flatter us, nor does it exaggerate our failures. It simply reveals reality as it is. That is why truth is both unsettling and beautiful. It invites us to stop pretending and begin living authentically. The remarkable thing is that truth is not an enemy chasing us to destroy us. It is more like a faithful guide calling us away from dangerous paths before they lead to greater sorrow. A warning sign beside a cliff is not an act of cruelty. It is an expression of care. In the same way, the conviction we sometimes feel deep within is not always meant to condemn us. Often, it is an invitation to change direction while there is still time. Every feeling of conviction carries with it an opportunity to choose a better way. Our world constantly encourages appearances over integrity. It teaches us to build impressive images while neglecting the inner life. People become experts at presenting confidence while quietly carrying fear. They learn to display happiness while hiding loneliness. They polish their reputation while ignoring the condition of their character. But truth cannot be satisfied with appearances. It reaches beneath the surface and asks who we are when no audience is watching, when no applause is offered, and when no reward is promised. Those private moments reveal far more about a person's life than public achievements ever can. There is great freedom in admitting that we do not have all the answers. Pride works tirelessly to convince us that admitting weakness is failure. But humility opens doors that pride keeps locked. A humble heart is teachable. It listens, learns, and grows. It understands that wisdom begins when we become willing to see ourselves honestly. Every meaningful transformation starts with the simple decision to stop running from reality. The invitation to face the truth is not about living in fear of judgment every day. It is about embracing the kind of honesty that brings healing instead of hiding. Just as a skilled physician must first identify an illness before offering treatment, the soul must first recognize its true condition before it can experience restoration. Ignoring Wound never makes it disappear. It only allows it to deepen unnoticed. In the same way, ignoring truth may postpone discomfort, but it never removes the need for change. The beautiful promise is that truth, when accepted with humility, becomes the doorway to peace rather than despair. It frees us from the exhausting burden of pretending. It gives us the courage to let go of excuses and embrace responsibility. It reminds us that every new day offers another opportunity to choose integrity over compromise, faith over fear, and hope over regret. Those who have the courage to face the truth discover that what first appeared frightening becomes the very foundation upon which a stronger, wiser, and more meaningful life can be built. The journey begins with one simple act: opening the heart to the truth instead of turning away from it. There are countless things that people spend their entire lives trying to collect. Some pursue wealth, believing that enough money will finally bring peace. Others seek influence, hoping that power will protect them from uncertainty. Many devote themselves to fame, convinced that being admired by others will fill the emptiness they quietly carry within. Yet, when life strips away all the temporary things that seem so important, only a few treasures remain. Among them, two stand above all the rest: the power of choice and the gift of grace. These are the treasures that shape not only the course of our lives, but also the condition of our souls. Every morning begins with choices, though many of them seem too ordinary to matter. We choose whether to speak kindly or harshly, whether to forgive or hold on to resentment, whether to act with honesty or compromise our integrity for personal gain. These decisions often appear insignificant in the moment, but they quietly form the habits that become our character. Character is never built in a single dramatic event. It is shaped through thousands of small decisions, made when no one else is watching. Every choice becomes another stone placed in the foundation of the person we are becoming. One of the greatest misunderstandings is the belief that our choices affect only ourselves. In reality, every decision creates ripples that reach far beyond what we can see. A word spoken in anger may wound a heart for years. A simple act of kindness may inspire hope in someone who was ready to give up. A moment of honesty can restore trust that seemed impossible to rebuild. Likewise, a single compromise can begin a pattern that slowly pulls a person away from the life they were meant to live. The importance of choice is not measured only by immediate consequences, but by the direction it sets for the future. Yet, if our story depended only upon our choices, many would lose hope. Looking back, everyone can remember moments of failure, selfishness, fear, or regret. No life is free from mistakes. Even the wisest people have said words they wish they could take back and made decisions they would gladly undo if given another opportunity. This is where the second treasure becomes more precious than words can describe. Grace enters where human effort reaches its limit. Grace does not pretend our failures never happened, nor does it ignore justice. Instead, it offers the possibility of restoration, reminding us that our past does not have to imprison our future. Grace is often misunderstood as permission to continue making the same mistakes without consequence. In reality, genuine grace transforms the heart. It awakens gratitude, humility, and a sincere desire to live differently. When a person truly experiences undeserved mercy, something changes deep within. Pride begins to fade. Bitterness starts to loosen its grip. Compassion grows stronger because the heart remembers what it means to receive kindness when it deserved judgment instead. Grace is not weakness. It is one of the greatest powers available to the human soul. The relationship between choice and grace is beautiful because neither replaces the other. Choice gives us responsibility, while grace gives us hope. Choice reminds us that our actions matter, while grace reminds us that failure is not the end of the story. Together, they create a path where accountability and mercy walk side by side. Without choice, life would have no meaning, because love cannot exist without freedom. Without grace, life would become unbearable, because no one could carry the weight of perfection. Many people spend years searching for treasures that disappear with time. Wealth can vanish overnight. Popularity fades as quickly as it arrives. Physical strength weakens with age, and earthly accomplishments are eventually forgotten by future generations. But the treasures of choice and grace remain valuable long after everything else has passed away. Every decision made with integrity leaves an eternal mark upon the heart, and every act of grace received or extended becomes evidence that hope is stronger than failure. The greatest invitation before every person is to cherish these two gifts while there is still time. Choose what is true, even when it is difficult. Choose forgiveness instead of revenge. Choose honesty over convenience. And when you stumble, do not surrender to despair. Receive grace with humility. Learn from your failures, and continue walking forward with renewed purpose. A life guided by wise choices and sustained by grace becomes a testimony that true riches are never measured by what a person owns, but by the condition of the heart they carry through every season of life. One of the greatest illusions people believe is that strength means never admitting they are wrong. From an early age, many are taught to hide their failures, defend their mistakes, and protect their pride at all costs. They learn to wear confidence like armor, hoping no one will notice the fears and weaknesses beneath the surface. Yet the human heart was never designed to flourish behind walls of self-deception. The more we try to conceal our faults, the heavier the burden becomes. What begins as a small excuse slowly grows into a habit of avoiding truth. And before long, we find ourselves trapped by the very image we worked so hard to maintain. Repentance is often misunderstood as nothing more than feeling guilty or ashamed. In reality, it is something far more profound. True repentance is not merely sorrow over the consequences of our actions. It is a sincere change of heart that leads to a new direction. It is the moment when a person stops making excuses and begins taking responsibility. It is not about dwelling endlessly on the past, but allowing the truth to reshape the future. A traveler who discovers they are walking the wrong road does not reach the correct destination by continuing forward. Wisdom is found in turning around. In the same way, repentance is the courage to change direction before we wander even farther from the life we were meant to live. There is a remarkable freedom that comes when we no longer feel the need to pretend. Pretending is exhausting. It requires constant effort to protect an image that is never completely real. We become concerned with appearances instead of character, reputation instead of integrity, and approval instead of truth. But the moment we admit our need for change, those heavy chains begin to loosen. The heart no longer has to carry the impossible burden of perfection. Instead, it becomes open to growth, healing, and wisdom. Many people fear repentance because they imagine it as the end of joy. They think that acknowledging failure will leave them condemned forever. Yet, genuine repentance does the opposite. It opens the door to peace, because it removes the weight of hidden guilt. Just as a wound cannot heal while it remains covered by denial, the soul cannot be restored while it refuses to acknowledge its condition. Healing begins where honesty begins. Every step toward truth is also a step toward freedom. Humility plays a central role in this transformation. Pride constantly whispers that admitting weakness is a sign of failure. Humility quietly reminds us that refusing to learn is the greater failure. A humble person is not someone who thinks less of themselves, but someone who sees themselves honestly. Such a person is willing to listen, willing to grow, and willing to be corrected. They understand that wisdom is never the reward of stubbornness, but the fruit of a teachable spirit. Forgiveness also becomes possible through repentance. Hearts filled with pride struggle to forgive because they are too busy defending themselves. But hearts transformed by humility recognize their own need for mercy. They become slower to judge and quicker to show compassion. They understand that every person is fighting unseen battles, and that kindness often accomplishes what anger never could. Repentance softens the heart until it begins reflecting patience instead of resentment. This journey is not completed in a single day. Every morning presents another opportunity to choose humility over pride, honesty over excuses, and obedience over selfish ambition. Growth happens gradually, much like a tree that gains strength through countless seasons rather than a single storm. Some days the progress feels small, but every sincere step in the right direction matters. The direction of a life is often more important than its speed. In the end, repentance is not a story of defeat, but of renewal. It is the quiet victory of a heart that finally chooses truth over illusion. It is the beginning of genuine transformation, where old habits lose their power and new purpose begins to emerge. The strongest people are not those who never fall, but those who have the courage to rise again with greater wisdom, deeper humility, and a sincere desire to walk in the light. Such a life becomes a testimony that real strength is not found in hiding our imperfections, but in allowing truth to shape us into people of integrity, compassion, and enduring hope. Many people spend their lives believing that the greatest challenge is convincing others that they are good, successful, or worthy of admiration. They carefully construct an image for the world to see, polishing every visible part of their lives while quietly neglecting what cannot be seen. They become experts at managing appearances, yet strangers to their own hearts. The tragedy is not that people desire respect. The tragedy is that they often seek it from the wrong place. A polished reputation may impress the crowd, but it cannot heal a restless soul. Real transformation begins only when we stop trying to appear different and begin allowing our hearts to become different. It is remarkably easy to make excuses. We explain our anger by pointing to someone else's actions. We justify dishonesty by saying everyone else does the same. We defend bitterness by recalling the wounds we have suffered. Excuses often sound reasonable because they contain fragments of truth, but they rarely lead to freedom. They simply delay the moment when we must honestly examine ourselves. Every excuse becomes another brick in a wall, separating us from the person we were created to become. Transformation begins when we stop asking, "Who can I blame?" and start asking, "What must change within me?" The human heart is like a garden. If it is left unattended, weeds do not ask permission before they begin to grow. Pride, jealousy, resentment, greed, fear, selfishness slowly spread until they crowd out everything beautiful. No one wakes up one morning completely consumed by these things. They grow quietly, through countless neglected moments. In the same way, virtues such as kindness, patience, honesty, courage, and compassion require constant care. They flourish only when they are intentionally nurtured. Transformation is not accidental. It is the result of daily choices that cultivate what is good while removing what is harmful. One of the greatest obstacles to change is the fear of letting go of familiar habits. Even unhealthy patterns can become comfortable simply because they are familiar. People often remain in cycles of resentment because forgiveness feels risky. They cling to pride because humility seems vulnerable. They continue wearing masks because honesty feels frightening. Yet every meaningful change requires releasing something that no longer serves the soul. Just as a tree cannot produce healthy fruit while its branches remain diseased, the heart cannot experience lasting peace while holding tightly to destructive attitudes. True transformation is not measured by outward achievements alone. A person may gain wealth without gaining wisdom. They may earn applause while losing integrity. They may achieve influence while becoming empty within. The deepest transformation happens where no audience is watching. It appears in quiet acts of kindness that expect no reward. It reveals itself in words spoken with gentleness rather than anger. It becomes visible in the willingness to forgive, to remain honest when dishonesty would be easier, and to choose compassion even when resentment seems justified. These unseen victories shape character far more than public success ever could. The process of transformation is rarely dramatic. It usually unfolds through ordinary moments, repeated over time. Every decision to tell the truth strengthens honesty. Every act of patience weakens impatience. Every choice to show mercy softens the heart. These small victories may seem insignificant, but together they create a life that reflects wisdom instead of impulse. Lasting change is not built upon one extraordinary moment, but upon thousands of faithful decisions made consistently. There will be setbacks along the journey. Old habits sometimes return, and discouragement may whisper that change is impossible. Yet transformation is not about never failing. It is about refusing to surrender to failure. Every new day offers another opportunity to begin again. Growth often comes through persistence rather than perfection. The heart that continues seeking what is true will gradually become stronger than the habits that once controlled it. In the end, the greatest victory is not proving ourselves to the world, but becoming the kind of person whose inner life reflects truth, humility, and love. Excuses may protect our pride for a moment, but they can never produce lasting peace. Transformation, though sometimes difficult, opens the door to genuine freedom. It replaces fear with hope, bitterness with compassion, and emptiness with purpose. A life that is continually being transformed becomes a quiet light to others, showing that real change is possible when the heart is willing to leave behind excuses and embrace the lifelong journey of becoming what it was always meant to be. Time has a quiet way of moving forward. Whether we notice it or not, every sunrise feels like the promise of another ordinary day, and every sunset gently reminds us that another page of life has been turned. Many people live as though there will always be another opportunity to make things right, another season to pursue what truly matters, another chance to speak the words they have been holding back. Yet none of us possesses the certainty of tomorrow. The greatest mistake is not simply wasting time. It is believing that time belongs to us. Life is a precious gift, and every moment carries an invitation that should not be ignored. There are invitations that come only once. Some arrive quietly, almost unnoticed, while others shake the heart with unmistakable urgency. The invitation to live with purpose belongs to both kinds. It is whispered in moments of silence, when the soul longs for something deeper than temporary success. It appears during seasons of hardship, when everything we once trusted begins to crumble. It calls to us through unexpected moments of clarity, reminding us that life was never meant to revolve around possessions, achievements, or the approval of others. Every person encounters these moments, but not everyone responds to them. Many people postpone the most important decisions because they believe there will always be more time. They delay forgiveness until relationships become broken beyond repair. They postpone gratitude until opportunities have disappeared. They ignore the condition of their hearts while focusing on everything else around them. They tell themselves they will begin living differently next week, next month, or next year. Yet the habit of postponing rarely disappears on its own. Tomorrow has a way of becoming another tomorrow, until years have quietly slipped away. There is wisdom in recognizing that every day is significant. The smallest decision made today may shape the direction of an entire lifetime. A kind word spoken at the right moment can restore someone's hope. A sincere apology can rebuild trust that seemed permanently lost. A decision to abandon bitterness can free a heart that has carried unnecessary weight for years. Great transformations often begin with what appears to be a small and ordinary step. Waiting for the perfect moment often means missing the opportunity that already stands before us. Living with purpose does not require extraordinary circumstances. Many believe they must accomplish something remarkable before their lives matter. In reality, purpose is often discovered in simple acts of faithfulness. It, sir, is found in treating people with kindness when no reward is expected. It is found in choosing honesty even when deception would be easier. It is found in showing compassion to those who cannot repay it. A meaningful life is built one faithful choice at a time rather than through a single dramatic achievement. Urgency should never be confused with panic. The invitation to act today is not meant to fill the heart with fear, but with awareness. Fear paralyzes, while purpose inspires movement. A person who understands the value of each day does not rush through life recklessly. Instead, they become more intentional. They listen more carefully, love more deeply, forgive more quickly, and appreciate the blessings that so often go unnoticed. They recognize that every conversation, every decision, and every opportunity carries lasting significance. There will always be distractions competing for our attention. Endless entertainment, endless ambitions, endless worries, and endless comparisons can consume our days without adding meaning to our lives. It is possible to be constantly busy while accomplishing very little that truly matters. The challenge is not merely to fill our schedule, but to fill our lives with things that have lasting value. Purpose grows wherever truth, compassion, humility, and love are given room to flourish. One day, everyone will look back on the journey they have traveled. At that moment, titles, possessions, and achievements will seem far less important than the character that was formed and the lives that were touched. The question will not simply be how long life lasted, but how faithfully it was lived. Every sunrise is another opportunity to begin again. Every breath another reminder that the invitation still stands. The call is simple but profound. Do not delay what truly matters. Speak the words of encouragement while you still can. Offer forgiveness before bitterness becomes permanent. Choose integrity before compromise becomes habit. Live with purpose instead of drifting through life without direction. The present moment is a gift that cannot be reclaimed once it has passed. Those who embrace this invitation discover that a life lived with intention becomes a legacy of hope, wisdom, and enduring peace. One faithful day, one faithful choice, and one faithful